My name is Lance Crain. Oh, I hated it. Hated it with a passion. Hated it. Yeah, I always hated it. In high school especially, I figured out that pretty much short of math, everybody was lying to me every second of every day. And then in math, you know, you could trust what they were saying, but they'd never tell you what it was for. I mean, to this day, I can do a quadratic equation, but I have no idea what it's for. Even trigonometry, you know, I don't, you know, to build a stairway, all I've, you know, learned is, you know, the a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and that's enough to build a stairway. And that's kind of all the math I've ever needed to do everything I've ever done. Right out of high school, I learned to weld, and I figured, well, if nothing else, it would be good to, you know, have as a hobby, and more or less it's paid the bills every day.
This is where it gets interesting. Uh-oh.
Well, I hung out with the, let's just say the Pink Floyd and Black Sabbath crowd.
Those rotten punks.
And the punk rockers, the Amps and all those guys. You know, I lived in Huntington Beach at the time, so that's where a lot of the punk music started. So I went to a lot of the local concerts, and about 10 years after high school, I went back to college and got my degrees. But I don't know, my teenage years, I knew what I believed, but I didn't know why. You know, I knew I was being lied to, but I didn't know by who or for what reason. It just frustrated me to know that, you know, everywhere you turn, you're being lied to or sold something. And there weren't a whole lot of people that were sympathetic with that point of view, because everybody was either involved in the lie or wanted to sell me something. No, I never once wanted to be a teacher. What happened was when I went back to college, and like I said, this was 10 years after high school, which was nice. It kind of gave me a lot more perspective sitting in the classroom again. And what ended up happening is the head of the automotive department at Cal State Long Beach was my best friend and mentor at the time, a fellow by the name of John Bob. And unfortunately, the prevailing attitude at the time, kind of what it still is now, is to get rid of all the shop classes. The idea is that we don't make anything anymore. We're an information society. That's what the educated idiots would always tell us. Well, what do you suppose all that information's about if it ain't about stuff? Nonetheless, they were trying to close the department so fast that they had classes with full enrollment that they had already handed the golden parachute to the teacher for. In other words, the teacher was retiring when the full class was still there. So John said, hey, I need you to teach a couple classes. And I'm like, no, that's okay. And he kind of chuckled quietly to himself. That's cute. You thought I was asking. No, you're teaching a couple classes. And I still remember the classes. It was an engines class and a metals class. And I didn't really want to do it, and I was real nervous. And but after about 2 weeks, I absolutely loved it. You know, you wake up in the morning and, you know, smile on my face, kind of go, oh, I can talk about threaded fasteners today. John Bob is entirely to blame for that. He was a lotus nut from the very beginning days. He was one of these guys that if you ask him what time it was, he'd give you the history of the watch. He was always of the mindset of, well, let's look how they're really made. You know, let's look at the corporate philosophy of this company versus this company. And you know, the corporate philosophy of, like, General Motors, for example, has always been the American public will buy anything we make. And if you look at the cars they made in the 70s and the 80s, oh my God, what incredible pieces of crap. Whereas companies like Lotus, it's like, well, how light can we make it? You know, using the stuff that we got, how fast can we make this car? Hey, how about if we do it this way? You know, and always kind of thinking outside of the box. So you start to see a lot of the big, you know, difference in in corporate philosophy as far as, you know, what are we making, not how much can we sell. And then when I found out about how the 7 started as a tax dodge, count me in. Yeah, you know, I don't know when that really started. I think it started, we were at a crab festival of all places. Basically, Ren Fair people there dressed up as pirates, and they had a small pirate ship, big enough to sit in their little lake there. And this was 92, 93, I think. So it was long before Pirates of the Caribbean. But their philosophy was, you know, I really liked it. Part of it was, you know, it actually did show up in Pirates of the Caribbean, was take all you can, give nothing back. And at first that sounds like, you know, the motto of a thief, just steal everything. But where it actually comes from is, it's a nautical expression. And they're talking about reeling in the nets. And what it is it's an expression of cooperation and a realization that it's a fight and you need to, you know, get with like-minded people and grab that net or the anchor or whatever it is you're fighting with as hard as you can, and don't let the enemy take any of it. I think, you know, attitude is everything. And, you know, I'm one of these people that always got accused of having a bad attitude. And no, I don't have a bad attitude, I just don't share your attitude. And, you know, nobody in authority likes to have their authority questioned. But that's the point. If you don't question authority, you're going to get what you get. And at the end of the day, people get what they settle for. You know, and you'll see that as you've probably already seen it now, and it's all who you work with and what their attitudes are and how much they insist that you share their attitudes. And I'll tell you that there's nothing more profound than the power of calm. And boy, I'll tell you, when you get lots of people that are, you know, running around with their heads cut off because it's gotta be done, it's gotta be done, it's gotta be done, and you walk in there calmly and cool and collected and say, okay, well, you know, we'll just do this and do that. Man, it sets the world on end. So you need enough perspective of everything. It's the old, you know, penny in front of the eye. If it's right here, that's your entire field of vision. And that's how you're going to see the world. It's all based on this penny. But if you put it in perspective, the penny doesn't really mean much. It's not really that important. The book you absolutely have to read is Weapons of Mass Destruction. And he's got a real simple solution. Anytime they put a test in front of you, a standardized test, fold your arms and do a Bartleby. I prefer not to. Our entire education system is based on tests. And tests have been proven to be irrelevant, completely irrelevant. The people that do well on tests usually fail in life. And the people that fail on tests usually do pretty good in life. You know, the most successful people this planet's ever generated are dropouts. You know, Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, Colin Chapman, Bill Gates, the guy who founded Virgin Air. You know, these guys are making spaceships where everybody else is collecting standardized test scores. Why do we put up with it?